Hey, what's up? My name is Hugo Mesa, and we're here in Garage Media Junkies. And today we have a really special episode in this podcast. You know, we always, this time Chris is not around. It's Christmas, he has family, and he's not as lonely as me. So, of course, I'm doing the podcast. But for that reason, I take the opportunity to make this special episode with a guest. And we're going to try to do it more often. It's not going to be our main episodic podcast, but at least every 3 or a month, bring somebody in the episode and talk about how you guys already know, whoever listened to this crap, know that we talk about media, everything that we consume through a screen, video games, TV shows, and movies, even music. I mean, there are a lot of music videos still. Not as good as before, but, you know, they're still there. And this time we have a special person, good friend of me. We study in the same school.
Yep.
So can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. What's up, everybody? My name is Sian Mcmullen. I'm an audio engineer. Like Hugo said, we went to the same school, and then we also worked there together for a short time. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. I've never really been on like a legit podcast before that people listen to. So I hope people enjoy it. I'm just happy to be here.
You're going to definitely blow the rating or whatever it's called, the views or whatever.
The subscriber count. I don't know. We'll see what we can do, man.
So pretty much the idea of this podcast is how all these media, because now it's there.
Yeah.
It's no escape. It's especially with internet. It's saying the amount of time we spend in front of a screen, phones.
Yeah, it's all over. You can't get away from it.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit of how you grew up with media, like when we were a kid, because we're still, I think, that generation that sort of grew up and sitting around the TV with the family watching the.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still remember like before cell phones and social media and all that type of stuff, but definitely like television. I mean, obviously, I was born in 1995, so I mean, television, internet.
90s.
Yeah, I've always been around from, in my lifetime. So yeah, always movies, were always a big thing. Like, I mean, music is my number one thing. Obviously, I'm an audio engineer, but I always say, like, if I wasn't so passionate about music, like, movies would probably be my second choice. Like, I remember, I mean, as a kid, like, me and my family read, like, the Harry Potter books, and we would, like, go and see the movie, like, on the premiere, and, God, man, trying to get 8 or 9 seats for the premiere of the new Harry Potter. Yeah, that shit was crazy. Yeah. That was, so I, like, have memories of, all, always, like, just going to the movies kind of and, like, seeing, like, and then my dad really too, he always he was a movie guy, you know what I mean? Like he put me on to a lot of good movies at a young age. So I think definitely like starting from a very young age, movies were like my primary as far as media goes, like because internet, like it was there, but I didn't really use it until I was, a teenager type of, and then by the time I was like
the phone, I need the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then by the time I was, 15, 16 and like a freshman in high school, that's when like Twitter, like even, I mean, I guess even a little bit before then Facebook was big, but even like, that's when like Twitter and Instagram and all that type of stuff started being popular.
Totally. Any particular show that you remember that you never missed, especially in the 90s? It was like, I feel like it was a lot of good cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was never, honestly, like, I mean, I enjoyed some good, like, cartoons, but I was never, like, big on cartoons like that. But I really, like, for some reason, the very first thing that pops in my mind right now is All That on Nick at night. It's kind of like
all the weird.
It was weird, so but it was funny. Yeah, like the Amanda Show, like young Amanda Bynes, like all that type of stuff. I mean, I guess that was just more like comedy, just funny, you know what I mean? Like just entertaining stuff, I guess. Yeah.
So you're obviously an audio engineer, and she's a really good one. I dig a lot of all his stuff. I think she has a great, bright future.
Thank you.
What was your first contact with music that you really sort of decide like, all right, I want to do this shit for real?
Well, before I even got to like the technical side of it, I was like, it was like real instruments. My family is like Irish, so my dad if you can't tell by my name, my family's Irish, and my dad plays the bagpipes. So I remember having to go to, I lived in Florida when I was really young, and I remember having to like go to, my mom would work at night, so me and my siblings would have to like go with, my dad was in the military, he worked during the day, so then he would come home, my mom would go to work, and sometimes he would have band practice. He was in with bagpipes and they do it's like drum, it's just like a drum, it's drum and pipe like band. So he would go to band practice. It's kind of like marching band, but it's literally just like drum, like snare drum and pipes. I mean, I don't know, it gets really annoying really quick, to be honest, but I remember like seeing the snare drummers and thinking like that was really cool. And so that was like the first time I decided I really wanted to play drums, and then I started playing drums. I got a drum set when I was like 14. I think I asked for it for like my birthday. Like that was like the thing I wanted. And before then, already in like the 6th grade, I was in concert band, like percussion. So yeah, that was like the start of it all. Like going to the practice, and like just the way the snare drum sounded was really cool. And I don't know, I just was like leaning toward that, I guess.
All right. So 14 is kind of young age to. Well, I think it's a good age to start instruments. Yeah. I always have the big dream to play guitar and shit like that, but now I'm old.
Oh, it's never too late to start, man. But guitar
it becomes just harder. Yeah. That's what I mean.
And guitar is hard. Yeah, you have to dedicate time to that. Like I did try to teach myself how to play guitar, and I was able to play a couple like little Bob Marley songs and get a couple, a couple little choruses, or chords. I mean, but like. Other than, and it's like your fingers hurt too. Yeah, it makes your fingers hurt. Yeah, guitar is hard.
I learned to play when I finally could play "Let It Be" by the Beatles. That's the only song I think I know. I feel like I'm the champion.
Yeah, no, that's awesome though. That's
I need an ovation. But so 14, that's the age you sort of start, and then when.
Well, even before then though, like I was still like, that's when at 14 I like got like a real drum set, you know what I mean? But even before then I was in like at like 12, I was already like in band, and then I also started making like beats and in I think like 6th or 7th grade also, so that's like 12, 13. So I mean right around that age, it's like when I really started to like get into it and be really interested in it.
What were the artists or musicians that you listen a lot around that age?
Man, I was really at that time I was living in Virginia in a place called Fredericksburg, which that's where I'm going next week. I'm really excited. I haven't been back in 2 years. I went to middle and high school there, but especially now that I'm older and I don't live there anymore, I realized that it was a really diverse place, and like I'm really thankful that I grew up and went to school there, because I was around so many different people that like I would say like primarily like hip hop and rap was like the main music there, but it's like there's so many different kinds of even in that every genre kind of has subgenres. I mean, if you want to categorize shit like that, but it's so I mean, gosh, I mean specifically maybe like 7th grade. I remember listening to a lot of Wiz Khalifa before he got big, before Black and Yellow dropped, because in like the 8th grade in homeroom I had 2 homies that I would talk about music with. I remember like we called that shit like, and then next year he got popular, man. But like even like just first starting out, my mom always like listened to rap too. So she was big on like after.
Weird. Though.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, she.
Like my mom.
My mom. She did. She listened to like Aftermath and like Dr. Dre.
That's sweet.
Eminem, 50 Cent. Like I remember that from a young age. And then on the opposite spectrum, my dad was always listening to kind of like more classic rock and kind of like folk rock. Like he has some weird taste. So, but some of the stuff I like, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. So it was just, such, and then, once I got older, at like 6th and 7th grade, I was going to school and being around all those different types of people. Like it was just so many things, so many different types of things. I remember really like fucking with like Timbaland, because I was like starting to make beats at that time. So like I was really liking Timbaland, Pharrell and the Neptunes. I don't know if like Justice League and Avengers were around back then, but I remember listening to them in high school too and being super influenced by them. You know what I mean?
That's great. Seems like you have a really great mix with the music, because it's really hard. I mean, normally, you have the parents, they get together and they sort of listen to the same sort of stuff, you know, like as a couple, like with my wife, I try to expand as much as possible and hear so many rhythms, but
Right.
she likes stuff that I don't, and you know, vice versa. And I think at the end of for my kid, that's going to be beneficial because then he has a bigger spectrum of music.
Right, he's gonna when he's with you and you guys are having your time together, he's gonna hear your type of music, and then when he's with mom, he'll go hear mom's type of music. Yeah, no, it's so that's exactly how I grew up, and I think I'm happy with the result. You know, like I'm a fan of all types of music. You know what I mean? I can listen.
As soon as it's good music.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's good, and especially now that I'm, an audio engineer. Like, if it's a good mix, even if it's not a good song, like sometimes, or I mean, not necessarily. Like, let me rephrase that. Not a bad song, but even if it's a song that I don't necessarily like, I can still appreciate it if it's good quality, if it's mixed really well, or if it just sounds cool. You know what I mean? Like, I can still appreciate it.
And that's an interesting point because now we have access to so much music. I feel like it's so good on some points, but then I chill, sit back, then I start thinking like how much music is getting lost because it's a big ocean of when you have so many creative people.
It's just oversaturated. Yeah, when you have, it's kind of like the same thing with the internet age. It's like when you have access to so much data, you actually don't know anything because you have so much that how can you even begin to sort through it?
I don't understand how. It sounds awful because now I'm gonna feel old, but the young people just go and listen 10 seconds and no dislike.
Yeah. Or how people, it's weird to me how people are cool with just looking shit up on YouTube and just listening to it that way. Like, I like to actually have the file, and if I want to listen to it on my phone, if I'm on the go, I don't have to rely on the internet, or I don't just want to listen to it that one time. I don't know, that I don't get that. That's weird to me, and the whole streaming thing.
Yeah, my MP3s and have my little collection.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite music. Yep. Some people is like, oh, you can use Spotify, but
I don't like that. Yeah,
I don't get the interaction with those software. I mean, the only one so far that I sort of like is Pandora, just because sometimes their recommendations are cool. Like, oh, wait a minute, these sounds
is there. I mean, there's pros and cons to all those things. Yeah, you can. It's definitely a really good way to easily find new music. Based on because it will learn you, based on the stuff that you do like already and that you listen to. They'll like you said, make recommendations and you'll find new stuff. But same thing you said. I don't understand it. Like the streaming, I just don't. If I like a song, I want it to be on my phone, and I don't want to have to rely on Wi-Fi or having coverage or whatever to listen to it.
God damn it.
Yeah. Like, what if you're on a plane that now. It's crazy because I've been flying at least twice a year since I was born. You know what I mean? I always had family in California, and so when I moved away, I came back every summer. So there was not Wi-Fi always on these planes, and now people bitch about when they get on a plane that doesn't have Wi-Fi. I don't get it because I was literally just about to be like, well, what if you're on a plane and you want to listen to stuff, but there's fucking Wi-Fi now, so you can stream your shit. But I mean, what if you're in the middle of the desert and you want to listen to some music for some reason?
Yeah, play the
Sprint not gonna cover me in the Mojave Desert.
At least I can go and take 2 pair of sticks and create music.
Yeah, exactly.
Some resemble of music. At least,
but you're not gonna be able to stream anything.
Nope. So I want to link this topic because now you're an audio engineer. Tell me a little bit of that journey. How you because one thing is sort of start experimenting with music and sort of play some instruments.
Right.
To take the decision to, all right, this is going to be the job that I want to do for the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, it really started with making beats, just like every other kid who wanted to start making beats. I found a cracked version of FL Studio, you know what I mean? Shout out to Fruity Loops. And, back in 2009, 2000, whatever, 2010. And, just, I don't know, nobody was going to teach me that. I had to, there's tons of YouTube tutorials. I mean, you can teach yourself anything on YouTube now. So, watching YouTube tutorials and just learning the software. And then I was also using other software as well, like Mixcraft. Excuse me. And then there was a online Sian Loop library. That was the first one I ever used. It was weird, but yeah, I still have those beats and they're really corny, but it's still, that's where I really started. But, you know, on some of the tutorials, it'll be like, and then you do this and it's called a reverb, and like, this is how you do it in FL, and it'll make this sound cool. So, you know, you kind of already are doing things that are considered engineering that a mix engineer would actually do, but you don't really know it. And then it kind of went a step further because my best friend, shout out to my homie Clay, I hope he's going to listen to this. He, you know, was rapping. He's still like one of the best rappers I've ever met. And he, you know, had a home setup. He was using, I think, Cool Edit Pro just to record it. And, you know, he had like just a little USB mic. And so I would go over to his house and like hit record for him, you know, like be the recording engineer or whatever. Like, of course, like I didn't even know what that was back then. But then what really did it for me was this producer that I really like, named Mike Colombo, who's now signed to like So So Def, which is Jermaine Dupri's label. He used to be on YouTube doing like, he would have like 30 days of discipline and make like a beat a day, that type of thing. So he's like very active on YouTube. And one day he puts up a video that's like, okay, you know, you guys see me making beats, but this is what happens after I make them, and this is how they sound really good. And it did basically like just an interview, like of what do engineers do with the guy who was mixing all of his beats for him. And like just that, I don't know, that was like my first, I'd never heard of an audio engineer before in my life before that. So when I saw that and I saw what it was, and I was like, oh, these are the guys that are pressing all the buttons on those cool looking boards.
Or
and
the typical, you know, the typical thing that all the buttons move and the lights. That's the first thing we came
to. Yeah, you're 100% right, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh my God,
it's like,
magic.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, and from that moment on, I was just like, I knew that was just what I wanted to do. So, but then once, you know, I came out here and after high school and like really went to school for it, like I was already doing this stuff. I just didn't know like what I was doing, you know what I mean? And how it was affecting the signal. Now I'm much more technically, like I have all that technical knowledge and I know a lot more obviously too, but yeah, that video really, I mean, the culmination of like, you know, already making beats, recording at my friend's house, and then also like, but seeing that video, you know, was really just was like that's an audio engineer, that's what I want to be.
Awesome. So now that you explained your sort of journey and come back to the topic we were talking, where you say that sort of the streaming part, you sort of like, it's, you know, it's there, it's kind of cool, but it's not
for
my
me
thing. How you battle that? Because I'm also, for the people who listen, I already say it, that I study filmmaking, same school, Sean. How you battle that? Because you know that the business is going there. Or the main business is there. How you know, find a common ground where you're like, all right, I can let go of my ego and, you know, work for that sort of industry, you know, because that is
well, I mean, it's not, I mean, I don't, if I want to be doing this, if I want this to be my career, I guess, you know, and I don't really have a choice, but it's not like I'm so against it that it's like I don't want to work for people who are going to stream their music, you know what I mean? It's just like, that's not, I don't understand, like streaming music is great, people, the artists who get paid for it, that's like, that's awesome, you know, but I just don't, I don't like to consume music that way. You know what I mean? That's just not my preferred like listening method, because I'm a big fan of having like, you know, the physical, you know, I have CDs and I have vinyls. Like I like to have the physical, tangible thing. And then if you can't have that, I like to, you know, I grew up in the LimeWire age, you know what I mean? So like files, you know, I have so many files. Like I like to have something that, you know, I can go back to all the time. But as far as like working for people who are gonna get, you know, I have clients who have their music available for stream on Spotify right now and stuff like that. I'm all for that, you know what I mean? That's definitely not gonna even come up. It's not gonna come up for me at all in considering whether I'm gonna take on a new client or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see your point. Like, you're talking more about being a client. That's the way you consume the media.
As like an audience member. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And leading to, you know, continuing that topic, how you see the business. I mean, we know that music business is not as healthy as it used to be. Like, we're not going to see another Thriller video, like Michael Jackson, that kind of production values.
Yeah.
Are pretty much
especially from a video guy's standpoint, I'm sure.
But
like,
even for music, I mean that. It's
amazing. The whole album, yeah.
I mean, you know,
and we're talking about Michael Jackson here. I mean, that's the god,
pretty much
the king of pop, right there.
So, you see in the future maybe coming back to those times, or they're gone because. Well, I mean, there are a few, you know, like somebody like Lady Gaga probably can pull that kind of budget.
Yeah.
Or people like that.
Yeah, Beyonce.
Right, but I feel like even on those times, it was more people doing it. Like, it was a big push for those kind of productions.
That's a really good question, and I don't know really how to answer it, honestly. I guess it really, because it depends on a lot of things, because I also think, like, the current, you know, state, the economic state of, like, the country is also going to kind of influence that a little bit. Right. But I mean, well, I think now I'm definitely not trying to compare Michael Jackson to who I'm about to say, because I'm not I'm not right now the biggest fan of this person. You know what I mean? It's a controversial person. I'm sure you probably have an idea of who I'm about to say. But Kanye has like production value. I think he does like I'm thinking of the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album where he did like that short and stuff, like, because even just in his music he has like a crazy production value. But someone like on that level, I think, has those capabilities. But I think with all the like the CGI shit and like it takes the authenticity away, like all the technology, and like no matter all the special effects, like no matter how cool something looks or how epic something looks, you know that a computer did it. You know what I mean? There's something to, even if it's somebody in a costume, like if it's a good costume, you know, you're gonna, to me, I believe it more than if it's somebody with shit that's like obviously digitally redone or something like that. Yeah, it's
like those holograms. It creeps me out, like the
Michael
Jackson hologram and
Tupac did he did the Coachella one a couple years ago. That was crazy. Yeah,
I mean, I guess in some ways cool, but then it's super creepy. Like that person is dead.
Yeah, exactly.
It's performing. Like what the fuck is that?
Yeah. No, that's weird. It is weird, and but the thing is, like the gorillas. Mm-hmm. That's how. Well, because really it's the gorillas, but it's really the one guy, Damien Auburn, something like that. And so like he's all like not the face of the gorillas. Obviously, it's all those cartoons and shit. And but whenever they would do concerts, it was always holograms. Yeah, so they kind of, I think, like people like that technology has already been there because they've been doing that for a little bit now, but. Yeah, when they're taking it to the next level by doing dead people and having them, be basically alive. Like they had Tupac performing with Snoop. Like that was weird.
And interacting. It's not like even it was just there, the hologram there.
They were like rocking the stage together. No, it's weird. It's weird. And then I also I was watching a Viceland thing. Well, it's noisy, but it's on Viceland now. And it was on like music in Chicago, and because Chief Keef is like all the gun violence there, and people try to say like rap music is the cause for that type of shit and whatever. So wrong. I mean people, everybody has their own opinion, man. But sometimes that shit is kind of ignorant. But like he's not allowed to perform in certain venues in Chicago. In his own city. That sucks because like he's from there. Like so he's not allowed to perform there, so he does hologram performances. So like, but even those get shut down. Well, the one on Noisy, like it got shut down because they didn't want people to get all crazy, even though it was a hologram. But I mean, like when I saw that, I was like, that's kind of cool because in a way, I guess it's giving his fans in Chicago which is where he's from, like an opportunity to see him. But at the same time, like I would honestly feel kind of slighted if I went to go. I paid for like whatever concert, and then it was a hologram. It wasn't even the real person. Like I would want to go to a concert. The reason you go to the concert is to get that live experience in person, and like you're gonna get it in person with a hologram. I mean, it just.
I'm not gonna be able to touch it.
Yeah.
Whatever place you want to
Yeah.
touch it, people. You know.
Unless it's Kevin Gates, because he'll kick you in the face.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's different. I mean, I guess it would work if it was like a live hologram performance, you know, like where they're recording him in live and then projecting the hologram, but it's not like that.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was the situation. Yeah. And that would be crazy. That amount of data, you know, transferring like live in real time. That would be pretty. I think there'd be a high chance of it, you know, messing up and glitching up and shit.
Yeah, and then we come back to the point like, well, I'd rather stay in my home and my couch, my big screen.
Yeah, you can get the best seat in the house. Yeah.
What's the point of all that? Thing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, you know, it's just how I guess it's all perspective, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of concerts just because I'm a freaking bastard. People you
it's
stay
the
in
people
home.
Yeah, well,
But,
I mean, I don't like being in big crowds, you know what I mean, so like that's definitely a negative of going to concerts.
It's because
but
my age. The older you get more annoying with concerts.
That's funny.
So so right, technology is there. Obviously the game has changed forever. Let me bring you. Okay. I'm gonna bring a beer to my guest because that's how we treat a guest.
Yes,
even if she paid for the beer, but
but you offered. I was just already planning on getting it. So Hugo's being the host with the most right now. I appreciate it.
Probably with evolution of the podcast. Next time you came here, probably we're gonna have whiskey or something like that. We're going.
Dude, we're really drink champsing it. Have you ever seen that podcast, Drink Champs with Nori?
I don't think so, but I'm gonna check it out.
It's good. It's here. You can open that.
Perfect. So let me try to remember my idea. Oh, I got it. I'm not that drunk yet.
He's just trying to do it with one hand, trying to be fancy about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
While I have the champagne of beer in my hand, I need to be fancy.
Yes.
By the way, we're not sponsored by Miller yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say. They're not paying us for that.
Maybe in the future.
Don't name drop them yet.
Yeah.
They need to earn that shit.
Miller, if you're hearing, we have a lot of space.
Yeah, right. We got some talking to do.
Yeah. So, anyways, let me try to remember. Right, there we go. So the game already changed.
Yeah.
It's hard to go back. So how, especially for people, if whoever's listening to this and is interested in producing music or creating music or be in the business of music industry, what will be your recommendation, especially from your point of view? What are the path that you think you need to follow to? I hate saying success because success is really different for everybody.
And I'm not like, I mean, you're making me feel so good. You're singing my praises. It's like, you know, I'm not like at a point where I feel like I've achieved, like I've definitely accomplished a lot of goals, but it's I still have a long way to go too. So I'm not like,
right.
You know what I mean?
But still, you're there. I mean, you're working.
Yeah.
To sort of get there. So what, and your experience, whatever is you're really big or not, every step counts. So what's the things that you feel that's all right? These kind of steps help me. Well, not steps, but achievements or whatever you people want to call it, to slowly start, building the ground to get there.
I think that one of the biggest things is to just, and it's so corny because everybody says it, but it's true. It's like you have to if you're gonna make music or if you're gonna make movies or if you're gonna whatever it is that you're gonna do, paint, like whatever, do what feels right and natural to you and like what makes you happy. I mean, challenge yourself. Don't just do what's easy. Don't just if you're making beats, don't just make shit that you can make in your sleep. Challenge yourself. But I think in a time where mediocrity is so celebrated, like you listen to the music on the radio, you see some of the shows on TV and the movies that come out. Yeah, I know. I just see it on your face. But I mean, you know exactly what I mean. Like it's all this like mediocre shit that for some reason people are just eating it up. People are okay. I think there's just been over a period of time, as consumers, we just like lower the bar because like consumers control what goes, what gets out, what we consume. So it's like if we have higher standards, and what we consume will have to be higher. or at a higher standard,
Right.
but we're not. We're accepting things that are basic and that are, you know, just mediocre. And sometimes it's easy to get discouraged by that because, like, you know, I mean, speaking just from like a producer or engineer, like you hear shit on the radio that's like, man, I could make I make stuff that sounds better than this every day. You know, why is this on the radio? And then that might kind of tempt you to be like, well, let me try to make that shit. And it's like, I mean, and every once in a while, you know, if you know, you can, as I'm not saying it's bad to try different things, but it's like, don't fall into a pattern of just trying to emulate what's popular right now just because it's popular, because it's only popular right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you're not really in it, like, you're just going to go crazy trying to emulate something that you don't even really feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's so easy to be tempted into, like, not copying, but trying to do what's popular. And like, I mean, if that's truly how you feel and like that sound is what you want, and that's how, and you're passionate about it, then do it. But if like what you hear and what you make naturally, you know, there's a disconnect between them, and you're only going to try to make what you hear because it's popular and because you want to get sales or whatever, then that's like, really, I think that's a quick way to get discouraged. And then most of the time you see those people quit. Yeah. And then obviously you're not going to get anywhere after you've quit, you know? So.
Yeah, I feel like I'm already art. This is really hard to jump in. Like, it's like, you know, at least from a point of view from cinema and movies and TV shows, you know, everybody has these ridiculous image of the red carpet and going for the Oscar.
Yeah, yep.
It's like, no, that's the beauty part. That's the cool thing. But most of the time it's a hassle. You need to be hustling a lot.
Yeah, you know.
And if you get like a green light, any project, it's a big amount of work. You don't sleep, so much.
Yeah,
preparing.
a lot of people envision that life, that red carpet. A lot of you know, you see people like, I can't wait till I'm smoking a blunt on my balcony overlooking the beach, you know, and let's just, but dang, it's a party again.
Yeah. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Beer's hard. No.
But so few people, I think, are actually willing to put in the work, because I think so few people like realize that there's work that actually needs to be put in.
A lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, like 10, you know, I mean, like I said, I've been making beats and doing, you know, music on some level since I was 12 or 13. I'm 21 now. It's been almost 10 years and I've still got a long way to go, you know. I'm sure for you, it's like, how long have you been doing this? Films?
I mean, when I graduated, 2 years ago I graduated, but same as you, I was being already a few years going solo and learning here and there. And that was the reason I went to school, sort of to make it official.
Yeah,
and
because,
same here. You know, I wanted, like, all right, parents, here's the paper. I'm officially graduated.
Yeah, here's the diploma. Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like, you know, I can see you got gear. Hugo's got a nice setup here, guys, by the way.
Getting there.
Yeah, no, but you get gear, and it's like, you know, you want to be able to buy that stuff and know how to use it, you know, and put it to good use. Like, yeah, I mean, it takes, but it takes the work, you know. Me and you both, we went to school. Obviously, we took the different programs, but still, I mean, it was hard. I can imagine the film was like the audio as far as the, you know, the structure goes, and it was like a lot of information, you know, at one time. The whole year, it was just like boom, boom, boom. I mean, even that whole year alone, like, I'm sure we both busted our asses just that 1 year, and that's just 1 year out of the whole time we've been doing it. You know, like, it takes so much work, and people just don't realize it.
And also, like you say, we're in a point of technology where, with minimal gear, you can, you know, quote unquote, like, do something decent.
Yeah.
To make you believe, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm kind of good at this. It's like, no, it's the technology sort of that get you to that point.
Yep.
Because before, cameras were shitty, and if you want some cool audio equipment, it was super expensive and shit like that. So it's easy to make you believe that you're that great, but in reality, it's like, no, it's sort of the technology pushed this far, but you don't know the craft.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yes, 100%. Like, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that is why so many people quit, because they get this, it's easy, you know, it's easy to, like, shit, I have a beat that I made on my phone in 10 minutes that, like, if I could mix it, if I could bounce out the stems and mix it, I would use it. This shit sounds good. There's literally no excuse anymore. Like, and so people do these things that it's really easy. You know, they use the easy software that everybody uses, and it's easy, and they get this idea built up, like, I'm good at this. And then when they get presented with a challenge that they can't, like, surmount, that's when they quit, because they get super discouraged. And it's like, you maybe, you have a talent, you have, like, you know, a niche for that, whatever it is that you're doing. But if you don't have the discipline to learn your craft and to, like, really learn it, and the respect too, because like, I think, you know, nothing irritates me more than when I see somebody who just fucking inserts a reverb on a track, not even puts it on an effects loop on an aux, like, inserts that bitch, and they want to have the nerve to say that they're engineering or whatever. Like, they just level shit out and they want to call themselves an engineer. That shit's insulting to me and to all the other engineers who have really put in time and sweat and money into learning what being an engineer really is. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's the same in any other discipline.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like if you're passionate, you respect the craft that goes behind. I mean, the fact that
you have to.
Yeah, the fact that you now have these tools that make it easy doesn't mean that you're going to be a prick and disrespectful, especially for, I hate when people sort of take validation of people that have been doing it for years. They don't have that respect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to have confidence and be cocky a little bit, but you don't need to be a douchebag.
Yeah.
To other people.
Well, I think you can be confident without being cocky, without the ego being involved.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way to assure people that, you know what you're doing, you're a professional, without throwing your weight around, so to speak, and being like a dick about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it sucks to work with people who are like that. You know what I mean?
I try to avoid them. I mean, I can suck it up, especially if the chick has good serious in it. But it doesn't make it easy.
No, it makes it, I mean, because so much of both of these businesses is the people and the vibes and the energy. And, like, if somebody's coming in negative or just being negative, like, you know, you don't want to work with them. And it makes you less, it gives you less incentive to come up with a good product, because it's like, yo, this person's being a dick to me. Why should I bust my ass to work for them?
And it drains all your energy. You have your, you know, hype. You're excited. You're ready to jump and give you your 100%, and then just die one single person. You know, take all your energy, and then you don't. You're not focused.
You get out of the zone. Yeah, because it's all about the groove and everything. And 100%.
So, for you now, you know, working, I guess your main line of work is with rappers, I guess. Or
I work mostly with hip hop and rappers. Yeah. Right,
but you have ever any experience with any other type of media, like movies or TV shows or video games?
Yeah. I've done couple post production projects, which are fun. I enjoy doing those. I would definitely like to move more into scoring, you know, doing music. Like, I just actually, one of the students that just graduated, I gave him two original tracks for his movie score for his project. And that was cool. And then also, you know, making beats and stuff, making instrumentals, you know. But yeah, primarily I work mostly with, like, mixing for artists and stuff. I'm trying, where I intern at a pretty cool studio now where they do all types of things. So I'm getting a lot of experience. You know, I just got like a band mix to work on. I haven't mixed a full band in like over a year. So, you know, that's really cool. Yeah. I'm definitely trying to venture, like, if I get more opportunities to do more post-production projects, like, I'm definitely into it. And then live as well too. Live sound is hard, but like, you know, I'd like, those, like, the live engineers, they're like the, you know, they're the super engineers. They know, you know, they understand the watts and the powers, the amps, all, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, but
jibber jabber that nobody knows.
Basically, if it's audio related, you know, I'm gonna be for it, you know what I mean? I've got a couple tracks I've been told, like, by people I've showed to, that be like, oh, this would sound good in a video game. So you know, I send stuff to licensing companies to hopefully get licensed. So maybe, hopefully one day, I'd love to have some stuff beyond a video game.
It's
Yeah.
like, you hear that song in that fucking good video games? My friend, bitch.
Yeah, bitch. And then you punch him in the face.
Yeah. So how different are to, let's say, a band or a rapper or any artist, no matter what kind of genre come to you, and I bet you already have sort of like an instructor how you line up things to work in that environment, but how different it is to working with visuals, because once you start working, at least that's how I see it. Once you start working movies, TV shows, or any other media that has visuals, sort of, like it or not, you need to start working around those visuals instead of a concept or something like that.
It's definitely a totally different ball game when you're working with something that has a visual to it, or even a commercial. One time I did, I freelanced for this company in France that took movies from like places in Africa. I think the one I did was from Libya, I think. I can't remember for sure, but they were in English, but then they dubbed them in French and like redid all the audio, and that was like an hour and 45 minutes. So that was a big project, and I was the only engineer on that. Like they had me do everything.
That's a big.
They had me do everything except for, obviously I was here in California. They were in France, so they did the dub like in French. There they recorded. They had the recording engineer there, but as far as like the ambiance, all the Foley. Damn. Yeah, basically everything except for the dialogue and the music I did.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was time consuming. Like I had to put myself on a schedule for that. I would go to sleep at like 5 or 6 in the morning and then make sure I was up by like 11 or 12 to do the same thing and just work on it. But it's definitely different because, like you said, you're working around the visual, but it's also, I mean, I guess, that gives you kind of a blueprint, because usually there's also original audio with it, like recorded audio, which, with music, you can have rough demos and stuff like that. But usually when someone's bringing you something to mix, it's not because it's not mixed already. So it's not like you have a blueprint of how they already want it. Like you said, they kind of just have to give, between talking to them and hearing how they are and hearing their other their previous music, you kind of have to understand their concept and like guess at it. But with stuff that has video to it, you have more often than not, you have the original audio, so you already kind of, and then also you can see, like, you can match shit up, obviously, so you can see and hear with the original audio kind of what already needs to be done. It's just on you to make it better and to also make sure that it looks synced up and correct. Totally. Yeah, because I hate, like, ever since I learned about that, and I'm sure I'm sure you're even worse with it than me, but like I hate watching a movie where the ADR is just not right.
I try to avoid it as much as possible just because I know it's pretty tough,
ADR is hard. I hate doing it.
Especially for actors. That's the way I see it. They already act, they put all these emotion and everything in that scene. And then it's like, oh yeah, come back again in this weird room where just you're by yourself. Yeah. And they need to act their voice to match the scene.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really hard.
It's hard, yeah. I imagine being like an ADR recording artist full time would definitely be like a stressful job. But then at that point, you would also probably be really, really, really good at it. It's money, ADR is hard, yeah. And like you said, for that reason too, for the actors, like having to match it up and doing the same take 60 times. Like they already have to do that in real life and shooting the scene, and now they have to do it again just with the audio. Like it's
I remember seeing you in one project. I can't remember. I think it was the first time that I think we met or something, and you weren't actually doing ADR, and I see, you need to repeat.
Yeah. Probably then, I did this is the end trailer in school, the one that's with like Seth Rogen and James Franco,
I think so.
And they're all at the house party, and it's like the apocalypse or something. Yeah, I redid all the audio for that trailer. That was I didn't take into consideration how much dialogue there was in the trailer, because I had some other friends that like all they had to do was like sound effects and shit for their trailer. I had so much dialogue to do. But yeah, that shit's hard. Much respect to people who do that on a daily basis because
they get really well paid, especially if you work Hollywood. Like those guys.
I'm sure. I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the other part with movies. People don't take importance a lot, and I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Really hard way.
People take advantage of you?
Oh, no. Like the audio part.
Oh.
For,
yeah.
It's 50-50 most of the time. And you remember, Sean helped me a little bit with my short, the one I graduated. Yeah. And the sound was shit.
It wasn't that bad. I think I'm pretty happy with how it came out too.
You did some magic in there, but the first few times
it could have been worse. I'll say that. Like I've definitely dealt with worse. It could have been worse.
But that's important. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, that audio part, we take it for granted for so many reasons. Like, oh yeah, music is there and blah blah, but sometimes and I'm guilty of it too, sometimes we bash some music or some artist, or like, oh yeah, this is crap, and like, dude, just hold on a little bit and just think that
how much work went into it. So much
work and time involved. It's fine if you don't like it, but don't say it's crap, especially if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I had no idea even before I, took a class on post-production. Had no idea all the work that goes into it, and it's the same thing with music too. Even before, like, even before I had an idea, you know what I mean? Right. But before I went to school, like, I didn't realize, like, an engineer does all that they do. Yeah. I mean, it's important, and it's the same thing with, even getting a shot for a movie, like the lighting that has to go into it. Yep, the people who are holding the reflector shits, like the boom pole.
And that's if you're lucky and you have a crew.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's on, like, a paid production, like a paid for production. Like, it's, the manpower that goes into these projects. And then when you look, when I see movies like that, that have like $1 million budgets and stuff, I can only think of the amount of people that
probably a big squad of 400 people.
Yeah, like the credits are going on for like 20 minutes because they have so many people. But it's I don't know. It's people definitely don't consider it, but it's not like oops.
Nah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. We're getting finally drunk, I guess. We're getting there.
Just kick the bottle over.
Yeah. No more beer. All right, I'm trying to think some more interesting questions. Well, you so far answered everything that I was curious about business, about the music. But now we're gonna just lay back a little bit and talk more about like let's say you're into shows right now, like TV shows, or maybe you have so much. I'm the lazy ass that doesn't have.
Well. Hold on. I'm just thinking, because I feel like I do. Queen Sugar just ended, but that was on, I think it was actually on Oprah Winfrey's channel, the OWN network.
She has a network?
Yeah, it's it's like OWN, OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. Yeah. Damn. So, but that just ended like 2 weeks ago, I think. But Queen Sugar was really good. Like, the music in it was really good. The acting was really good. The shots were beautiful. Like, I was really, that was a good show.
Now I want to see it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's about, it's a group. It's 3 siblings, 2 older sisters, and the brother's the youngest. They're all adults, and their dad dies, so they all basically, are brought together by that tragic incident. And he leaves them his sugarcane field. I think they're in Louisiana. They're like in New Orleans area. So he leaves them like this big sugar plantation, and so it's kind of about their decision on like what to do, with the sugar plantation. Yeah, and because all of them kind of had different ideas. So it's really, really well done. A little bit like over dramatic, I think, at some points, but overall, I think it's a really well done show.
Oh, it's an Oprah.
Yeah.
It's over the top.
I mean, but I mean, she's got the money, to make a good production. So, but also, I mean, everyone's talking about Westworld. I haven't been up on it, but have you seen that at all?
I already finished.
Oh, you're done?
My mind, yeah.
Oh my God! So all right, spoiler alert. Stop listening if you haven't gotten to like episode 5. I'm about to spoil. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I've been up to the episode where you find out that Bernard is not a human.
Yeah, that was like
that was, and then he just straight kills old girl. What? Like, they were. Oh my god, I thought he loved her. I was like, damn.
It was really interesting watching that show because more and more I'm putting attention to the sound side and the music side.
Yeah,
and it has a soundtrack that's. It's nothing like really crazy compared to other like Walking Dead. You get the sound right away.
Yeah.
But here it's more subtle. But it hands so much everything around in the show. Yeah. So like it's kind of like, hey, I'm here, but I'm not there.
I'm not in your face. Yeah. No, so it adds to like the Twilight Zone feel of that show, because like the way the writing is on that show, they'll like kind of foreshadow shit and like say stuff that like kind of lets you know it's coming up, but you don't really know what it is. Like the way they write the show is kind of like suspenseful, I guess. So I think that the way they do the music is definitely like it's subtle, like you just said. It's like, oh, I'm just kind of here in the background, but it adds so much to that like suspense and the anxiety.
Yeah, and I'm glad about that, because even I love Game of Thrones to you.
Yeah, hell yeah, we already know.
That music is powerful.
Oh, man, in the last episode of the last season, like I was blown away by the music. They had this one shot where it was in the church. I think. Oh, yeah. I think it was before. I'm not sure if in the last episode is that another spoiler alert if you don't watch Game of Thrones. Sorry,
everybody can see everything. Don't.
I mean, if you're not caught up on Game of Thrones by now, I mean, you're basically. Stop listening. Yeah, exactly. You need to fix your life. Fix it, Jesus.
Yeah.
But is it the last episode where Cersei like?
Oh yeah.
Blows it up. So they had so it was that shot of like in the church, because all those castle-y churches in Europe are like so beautiful on the architecture. So they had that one shot where there was like kind of slow motion, like panning on the top of the church, and the music they had, and it was just like, I remember that scene because of like the music. Well, in combination with the shot, I mean, it was just beautifully done. Yeah, HBO makes good TV.
Yeah, they have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
HBO, if you're listening, I can go and help a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
If you need a DP, you already know.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably screw it up, but still, you can call me. It's fine. I'm not that expensive, believe me. So
yeah, right. Right. Save you some money.
Oh yeah. What about video games? Do you have any experience with those? Do you have some favorite game?
Yeah, my favorite game ever is Kingdom Hearts, and I just saw that they released that. Like, if anybody else likes Kingdom Hearts, we've been waiting forever for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's finally the main focus. Like of Square Enix, like they just announced that. But yeah, the music in that, the composer is a woman named Yoko Shimomura, and
I think I heard that name.
She does stuff for like, I'm pretty sure she does the Final Fantasy stuff too. Like, I mean, she's crazy. She's a genius. Like, I would love to just talk with her. Yeah, like I love her music. It's so beautiful. Yeah, the music in that is it's part of what makes the game for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same without it. And then one that I really enjoyed, and it wasn't so well too, actually, that I kind of put them in the same category. Like, I really enjoyed, but it's like I honestly don't really remember much about the music, to be honest, but I really enjoyed the games, was The Last of Us. Dude, I regret selling my PS3 because I want to just play it. And
it's coming to 2.
Yo, yeah, are they finally making the second one? Oh man, I sold my PS3, and I really want to either get a PS4 or just buy another PS3. Like, I really regret it.
No, the music, it's a special like episode on the PlayStation YouTube channel that you should watch it out. God damn it, I'm so bad trying to remember names. But the guy that was in charge of the whole music, it's a big Argentinian producer. He worked with a lot of Mexican bands, and they made a little documentary, but it goes so in deep how this guy, start for something so basic like a one note thing, and then suddenly
turned it into something. Wow,
so incredible how those things work. And now that we're in beta games, do you see it like market for music people start jumping in. I mean, it's already way bigger than Hollywood, the video game industry.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, if you look at a game like Grand Theft Auto 5, there was so much music on that. I mean, Freddie Gibbs, I know, did shout out to Freddie Gibbs, man. He did he did a whole album, I think, like for Grand Theft Auto 5, or a whole catalog or something like that, for Grand Theft Auto 5. There was so much music on there, but the thing with that is like there wasn't a lot of original music, because you can get if you're an artist, you can get, or even as a producer, you can get your music, licensed on there and still have it be public. You can hear, like on that game in particular, like you'll hear songs that are on the radio in real life, on the radio in that game. But as far as like, your original music being on there, like because there's so much radio, like how much room does that leave for original music? You know what I mean? Because there was so much of like real artists who were licensing their music for that game. But that was just that game in particular, But I think it's a huge market everybody needs original music. You can't just come up. I'm sure video game developers, that's something they have to consider. They can't just, go like use what's already been used before and be like, I'm making a Mario knockoff, let's use Mario's music, whatever. You're gonna get hit. Not only do they not want to do that for the sake of like not being original, but also lawsuits. I'm sure all that shit's copyrighted, so and protected, so you have to be original. So I'd say there's definitely a big market for people getting their music placed in video games. Yeah. And then also doing sound design for video games, that's something I've never experienced, and I would totally be open to doing it, is like actually like, when you press circle and your character swings the sword and it hits something, that hit sound that it makes, like I've always been curious as to how do you make that sound happen when it's triggered by a certain button, you know what I mean? That's a whole other level to it of like actually sound design for video games. And I think it's always, I think those markets, as long as video games are in the market, those type of jobs for sound people are always going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, you always need somebody good at it. I recently was watching also one channel they follow a lot on YouTube called Film Riot, and they have an episode entirely dedicated to this guy that do that, like all the Foley and creating all the ambient noise.
That's really cool that they did that, because like those are the people that don't get recognition.
And all these type of mics, this guy was using like this almost like a submarine mic that he used for the whales to listen to whales, but he was using it like on a table, so when somebody like record the hit of somebody or somebody falling down in the ground, it will have that like almost like
muffly kind of sound.
And it's just really great that they show all the stuff now.
That's cool. Yeah, it is, because then it shows people, like not only shows people like all the work that goes into it, but then it also like somebody watching that can now maybe be interested in that and be like, that's something I want to do, whereas like before they maybe didn't even know that existed.
And also like just taking the mystery, but also at the same time respecting like, that guy is a pro for that reason. Like, he knows what's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the whole point. Are you know about the VR technology, the virtual reality?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm not like super familiar with it, but I'm obviously like it's big right now, so I know what it is. I got to try it out. Do you remember Danny, who we used to work with? Yeah, he came in one day and he bought like a VR set, and he got to check it out. And honestly, like I was talking shit about it before. I was like, why? He told me how much he spent on it, and I was like, why would you spend that much money on it? Like, just watch a movie. Like, I was talking mad shit, and then I tried it on, and it wasn't even anything. Like, it was just like some anime that he had on. He's like, here, just look at it, And I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. It was cool, I mean, you won't catch me spending $1,000 on a VR headset, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm gonna personally invest my money in it, but I mean, I think it's definitely like this 2017, like there's gonna be so much VR shit, you know what I mean? But I'm not sure if it's going to be if it's gonna last. You know what I mean? I think maybe it might be a fad, but who knows? It could also kind of turn into, you know, I mean, technology is taking us over one day at a time, so it could turn in, you know, the Google Glasses things where you have like the screen and shit, like it could,
Terminator or some stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, who knows what it could turn into, but I mean, it's a cool way to experience media, you know, for sure. Like it's
just
different.
too expensive right now, I think.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe one day that's gonna be like the normal. Like nobody will have TVs anymore. Everybody's just gonna have fucking goggles. That'll be weird. That would be weird.
Or even like where those things
the lenses, the contacts,
contacts with screen in it.
Did they really make those?
I think I read a little article.
Oh man,
company was trying something like that.
That's too much for me. I don't know if I can.
They can just put me a chip in my head already.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's
or like a barcode in my hand.
Man, I saw. We're going a little off topic now, but I saw.
Oh, no, it's all right.
I saw. You know, MTV does that True Life show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they brought, like, I think this past year they were making new episodes because, like, I saw it on and it was like, normally I like that show, so normally it's like replays, but like it was new episodes. I was like, oh, this is cool, and it was like True Life. I want to be a cyborg, some shit like that. Yeah, something like that. And these people were literally like, dude, like in their basement workshops, you know, not even as nice, not even close to as nice as this. Definitely not carpeted. Like they're in their little like mom's basement, you know, workshops. Like just a bunch of really smart people, you know, who are into circuitry and you know, technology and all that shit. Like, and they were literally like cutting themselves open and put like this thing in them, and then it was like. I forget what it did. It would just beep. Like they would wave some metal over it, and it would beep. Like it would just do something, and it was like just, you know, it's like obviously this is not gonna help me, but like this one guy wanted to fucking put some shit in his brain, dude. Like wanted to have it, and they were doing this all in the basement. Like none of them were doctors. I mean, they had, you know, crude tools and rubbing alcohol to sanitize. I mean, it was gnarly, and they were so about it. It was crazy. Yeah, they were put literally like this thing. It was this big ass like ring on the top of their hand, like just like this, dude. Bigger than this though, and it just under their skin. And the one girl had to get hers taken out because it was her. You know, your body will reject that type of stuff. Yeah, but I mean, they, you know, that was their whole thing though. Is like, this obviously is not accomplishing much for me. This is just for the sake of it works, but eventually I want to have something that I can actually put in my body that's gonna do shit for me. You know,
they're gonna cut me open. It better do more than just a beep.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, man, you risk your life because, like, you know, when you're working with materials like that, you can get infections and like that shit can destroy you quick. And just like really, just so you can have something that blinks or beeps when you rub metal over it, like, yeah. Well. I don't know, but I mean, we're definitely, you know, there are people who are for that. They want a chip in their head so that if they're just like, hey, turn on and give me directions, and they just see the directions in their vision. Like, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't sound appealing to me, but there are some people who really want that. You know what I mean? It's scary.
Yeah, I feel the only kind of cool part that lately liking it from technology is people that lose an arm and they have a robotic arm that they can, you know, with their thoughts, you know,
and
use
they can
it,
actually,
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like replicates the nerve endings, kind of. That's
pretty
awesome.
Cool shit.
Yeah,
right there. All right.
I mean, that's using it for good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Just to wrap it up, anything that you want to say to whoever's listened to this, that about they want to dedicate to music, any tip, any advice, or maybe some encouragement? Just
do it, you know. Just, I mean, it's originality is hard, but just do what makes you happy and be open to opportunities. Like, speaking from personal experience, I'm someone who's like very anxious. I used to say no to a lot of things because I would get just anxious about going, and it's like I had to stop doing that and step out of my comfort zone and, you know, just be open to more opportunities. Say yes. I'm not saying ignore your instincts. If you feel like a situation is not good, then don't go, of course. But if you're just like, you know, I'm not sure, but you know it's going to be beneficial to you, like, then that's literally you're stopping yourself. So yeah, be yourself and be open to opportunities. I think that's the best best way. And don't be a dick. Just be a good person, man. And I think everything will come, you know, if you put in that work and you're a good person and, you know, network, don't burn bridges, and be open to opportunities. Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. This was fun.
For the beer. Thanks for the champagne.
Yeah, the champagne.
All right, people. Thank you for listening to this one, and we catch the next week. Adios.
Adios.